Hello and welcome to the Asian American Forward podcast. We are just doing a quick episode today because we wanted to react to some news that was happening this week. So I'll bring Don in, but we won't do our whole normal introduction thing. So the background is kind of as violence has heated up in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine over the last week and a half or so. A lot of American politicians have been weighing in on the issue, including frequently discussed person on the podcast, New York mayoral candidate Andrew Yang. So he tweeted on May 10th, kind of when everything started, "I'm standing with the people of Israel who are coming under bombardment attacks and condemn the Hamas terrorists. The people of NYC will always stand with our brothers and sisters in Israel who face down terrorism and persevere." And he came under a lot of fire for this tweet. He was getting kind of critiques from a lot of progressive figures and even some celebrities. Eddie Huang kind of criticized him, AOC, as well as a number of other like more local politicians. And so we wanted to, since we have Don on the show, kind of get behind the curtain and find out what the process is like when something like this happens to a politician. So Don, since you're a member of the campaign, like what was the process on that first tweet on May 10th going out? Does Andrew just send that on his own, or what's that like?
Yeah, basically, it's I have been with Andrew since 2018, and it's our campaign, both the presidential and also now it's a mayoral campaign. We heavily rely on the social media to spreading our policy, idea, and humanity and the personality to show people the real figure of what Andrew is and what he thinks. And so it's the Twitter is basically he's a fundamental tool to connect with the voters, with the people, and deliver his thought and whatever the policy. Same situation for this particular tweet. And in January, I can recall in the presidential election, he tweeted something and caused backfire. And this is a pretty particular phenomena for Andrew as an individual or is a modern candidate to use at the campaign tool.
So he's usually just tweeting on his own, though. It's not like there's some person who's vetting his tweets.
There's the kind of a yes and no. It's probably 19% of his tweet. He's probably going to talk to the people next to him and whatever.
And just say, hey, does this look like, hold his phone and say, hey, does this look okay?
Yeah. Some people just give some advice and say yes or no, but 99%, most people are going to maybe change a couple words. But in general, the ideas behind the Twitter's content generally is all yes. And then sometimes people can stop it, but most times Andrew make a decision to reflect his authenticity of his personality. Yeah. This is the same thing. And we didn't expect it to backfire this huge.
So when you get the backlash, you're not expecting it. What struck me also, even more than the backlash that I thought was interesting, was also the people who were kind of on Twitter defending Andrew. So like Ted Cruz, for example, was one of the people who was sort of like, I stand with Israel too. So how is the team responding once you like get the notifications and you realize, oh, this tweet is not being received in the way that we were expecting it to be?
This is kind of alarming the instance for the campaign team. So it's in general, it's our campaign team is I think it's the people more lean to the progressive and kind of more liberal in the entire personalities composed of a campaign team. So of course internally we do have some pretty big dispute. So it's the mode of a campaign team. I think this is probably the lowest time since we kick off the campaign.
Wow.
So a couple of campaign staff they have some the Muslims background, and someone quit job, and this is a huge impact. So it's internally, and also the entire team not very happy about this kind of response to the international affair, especially, it's New York is a very, very diverse the city, and also it's from the voter base, Andrew is trying to build a voter base based on the minority. So it's Palestine, the community actually is the one part of it. So it's when you make an announcement, we generally at least we didn't expect this huge backfire to the campaign.
Yeah. And what was Andrew's reaction like, just personally? Were you around for that?
I think I personally think it's Andrew feel a little bit very bad, and also we have a campaign staff meeting next day, and we openly discuss what's the impact and what's for the future, and whether it's right or wrong. And I think it's Andrew's sent the second Twitter and the kind of a regret of the first tweet, because for any politician, sometimes you don't say anything, it's better than you quickly say something. That's the kind of a political judgment.
Yeah.
You need to wait for the situation, or the whole picture before you make a standing, or make a statement, especially for this kind of involve some children's death, and involve some civilians casualty. Those kind of things, it's pretty hard to immediately to respond to these kind of things. Of course, everyone knows Israel and the Palestine issues has been 1,000 years of conflict. Hard to say who's right, who's wrong, which territories belong to whom. So it's for Andrew as the candidate for the New York mayor, it's too early and too soon and too clear to make a statement like this.
Yeah, and for sure, like, I think even my friends and I were talking about this last night, because we have a house guest right now, and she was like, "Can you believe it took Biden until it took him something like a week to make a statement, sort of condemning the violence on both sides, but maybe a little more support for those Palestinians who's like several." What tends to happen when tensions flare up is that because Israeli defense is better funded, the casualties are like double on the Palestinian side, even though they're both kind of equally aggressors in a lot of cases. So it's certainly a very thorny issue. And so, of course, Andrew has walked back his initial tweet, kind of released a long statement that I won't read here because it was, a good big paragraph. But so what's the process like then within the campaign for crafting something like that? Like, I assume it's really different than that kind of informal, like, Andrew's in the car in between events and he tweets, he's got a tweet, he shows it to the person next to him, they change a few words, and then they send it off. So what's it like when you're specifically crafting something like this to go out?
Okay, I personally think it's for this particular campaign, especially for the New York mayor, the local election. So it's in the future, we try to delay the comment about international policy, because it's nothing related to the local issue. And most of the New Yorkers care about their safety, about their job, about the how to clean the street. That's their fundamental concern. So international conflict generally is at a very, very low priority, or they don't care too much. So it's in the future, at least in the next 30 days, at least I think we should avoid any international issues, either to the common or make a statement. That's the one thing. The second thing is, I think it's procedurally is that any tweet from Andrew. Now I think we probably need a political team and a policy team and a communication team to join in to have some filter or review before it's released to the public. That's to guarantee we have at least some kind of a political correctness to make sure it's all the voter bases we can secure.
Yeah, and that's also probably, I would imagine, a big difference between where Andrew was in, say, like February of 2019 versus now it's May of 2021, and he's just got a much larger profile. And so there are more people who are interested in responding to what he's saying. So there's kind of that evolution as well.
Yeah, that's the another issue. So when Andrew and the regular people, we can talk, we can say F word, whatever is we want to say. And now he's a national, and especially for the Asian, is kind of like a role model.
Right.
So every word he say just like carry the same weight like elected official or high profile people. So it's when you make statement, it's going to generate a lot of impact. Both sides is going to have an impact. I just recall the 2 years, maybe 1.5 years, he posted an article at the op-ed on the Washington Post about the Asians how become more Americanist.
Yes, I remember that. I haven't,
Yeah, that's
I've talked with that a lot of my students about that. So
yeah, it's a lot of backslash on that one too. For that case, I told Andrew, it's a text to him. I said, okay, I represent a lot of Asian community, same as the other side, but I personally think Asian community has been less involved in the community service, less involved public the activities. So it's a more Americanist means you need to get more involved and more serve to make sure it's you are not only take from this society, but also it's a contribute to this society. It's just similar like a JF Kennedy, the statement.
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yeah, classic.
Same political philosophy, both for Andrew and me. So I told Andrew, don't do apology. But there's a huge the Asian liberal or celebrity or the progressive, they put a huge pressure to Andrew. So Andrew make a correction again to explain that one. This time it's a similar situation. I told Andrew that for this country, Asian community don't care too much about the Israel and Palestine conflict. So this kind of a voter base doesn't change. But at the other side, in New York City, there have like a 20 to 30% Jewish community, the largest Jewish community in the world besides.
Yeah, and I know that Andrew has really actively also campaigned, particularly with Orthodox communities.
Yes.
In New York.
Yeah, this kind of a random statement actually have some positive impact to help or not help, but just drive more Jewish community vote for him. That's my personal judgment. Even we heard some other minority group from East Asians, those minority group or Palestinian background or Muslims based. But in overall, and people understand Andrew's standpoint, just try to make when things not very clear, he made a mistake. That's the people can tolerate. But I personally think it's a campaign or politician that always have a high point, always have a low point. And after low point, we just back to normal, back to the campaign trail and everything back to normal. This week, we have everything 100% recovery already.
Yeah, so people also forget about this kind of thing really quickly, right. Which is, another interesting thing. And I could ask you probably a million different questions about specifically this issue and how it plays into New York City, and also kind of differences within the Democratic Party between more progressive people and someone like Andrew, who is kind of pulling more centrist, pulling more different policy influences. But that is about all we have time for today. But I always enjoy talking to you, Don.
Me too.
Yeah. So we will wrap it up there. And I will just read our normal outro. So my name is Katie Simpson. Our podcast is sponsored by Asian American Forward. You can visit our website at asianamericanforward.com. If you enjoyed the show this week or have a topic you'd like to hear us discuss on a future episode, send us your comments at info@asianamericanforward.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also find us on Facebook and hear more conversations between Don and I at our YouTube channel. If you're a fan of the show, leave us a review in the Apple Podcast Store or tell someone about us. It really helps people find the show. Thanks for listening.